Hi, good morning. It's Leah. We're back in the kitchen. Today we're going to cook one of my all-time favorite meals, and that's country biscuits and gravy. Now, I grew up on this. I love this. I could eat it every day and would have no problem eating it every day. But today we're going to make it. I've already got my bacon started in the back, and I'll take you through making the biscuits, and then I'll show you how I make gravy. I'm not sure if it's the way you do it, or if you don't know how to make gravy at all, this is going to be a great video for you to learn an easy, simple way to make biscuits and gravy. Okay, let's get started. So here we are, our bacon's on the skillet. We are probably going to cook this in 2 batches because I don't want to overlap them. And I do want to tell you that when I cook biscuits and gravy, and today I am going to make it in bacon grease, it's important to me what kind of skillet I use. This skillet here, if you can see, has the rounded edges, not square. And when we come to make the gravy, that's going to be important. When I buy skillets, I do buy the ones with the rounded edges, not square, because I can't get any utensils in there. I can't get a whisk in, I can't get a good spoon in there to move things around. So, and if I can't make gravy in it, then it's not a good skillet in my opinion. So I do buy all my skillets with that in mind. Okay, so I'm just going to finish these out, and while these are cooking, we're going to go over to the other side and we're going to start our biscuits and get them going. All right, we're going to make biscuits. So we only need 2 ingredients for these biscuits, so it couldn't get much easier than that. Unless you got the refrigerator biscuits at the grocery store. I've done that many times too, and that's okay if that's what you have time for. But today we're going to make our own, and 2 ingredients. You may have seen this before. It's not a secret anywhere. We're going to use self-rising flour and heavy cream. Now, if you don't have self-rising flour, that's okay. We can make it into self-rising flour if you just have all-purpose flour. Let me get my cream real fast. You do want to keep that in the refrigerator until you need it, because we do want to keep that cold. Okay, so we're going to start with 2 cups of flour. Okay. 2 cups of flour. Now, if you have all-purpose flour, you're going to want to add 1.5 tablespoons of baking powder. Not baking soda, but baking powder. You're going to want to add 1 tablespoon of sugar, and then just half of a teaspoon, little t, of salt. Mix that all together, and then you have what I have here, which is self-rising flour. Okay, to that, we're going to get our cold cream, and we're only going to use 1.5 cups. Now this is a 2-cup container, so we're going to have an extra half a cup left. So save it and have it in your coffee, or whatever you can do with a half a cup of cream. So we're going to gently mix this. One thing we don't want to do with biscuits is we don't want to overmix. So we're just incorporating. You don't want to do this in a blender. You don't want to do this in a food processor. I only do this by hand. And as you can see, we're starting to get a sticky dough, which is what we want. Now we don't want this really blended. We don't want to work it too much. If you want light, fluffy biscuits, then be very light-handed with this dough. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of flour. This is good. I'm leaving it just like this, and I'm going to flour my surface. I have a glass cutting board here, which is what I'm going to use today. And then I'm just going to plop down this dough onto my surface, and it's very sticky. Don't worry about it. Come on, get out of there. Okay, get that out. Get all that you can out of your bowl. All right, here we go. So now, just gather it all together. Not being aggressive. We're gonna put some flour on the top, get a little bit more flour on the top, and we're gonna start working it. I'm just going to just kind of mold it together. I'm gonna move it around so that I get flour on both sides. Okay, that's it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll it out, but I'm not gonna roll it heavily. So I'm gonna roll it. One thing I'm gonna do is I'm not making round biscuits. I am making square or rectangle biscuits. And the reason I do that is I don't wanna work this more than necessary, so I don't wanna cut circles and then have to redo my dough. Plus, I'm kind of a quick cook. I want to do quick hacks, and so this is one of them. So what I do now at this point, I've rolled it out. It's still pretty thick. Now I'm gonna take half of it and fold it back on itself, okay? And I'm gonna fold it over again, okay? See that? Now I'm gonna roll it again. Now the reason you make these folds is that's what's gonna make your biscuits flaky. The more folds you have, the thinner you roll this dough, the flakier your biscuit is gonna be. Now I don't need it very flaky, but it is nice to have a nice fold after they're cooked so that you can just break them in half real easy. That's kind of nice. And with biscuits and gravy, you're usually folding that biscuit in half. So here I go again. I'm gonna roll it out. Trying to work it the least amount possible. Fold it again. Gonna fold it one more time. Okay. Now I'm gonna roll it out to the thickness that I want. And I'm gonna go 3/4 of an inch. That's probably the happy spot for me. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, there we are. Leave it alone. I'm going to form it into a rectangle so that I can cut my biscuits and they all look pretty even. Okay, just like that. So I'm gonna cut it with a knife. So I'm gonna cut it in half this way, and I'm not gonna work my knife. The more you wiggle your knife around in between these biscuits, the more you're gonna seal those ends. You seal those ends, you're not gonna get them to rise as much. They're not gonna be as fluffy. So we're gonna avoid that. These are gonna be decent sized biscuits, but I'm only making 8. There's only my husband and I here today, so 8 is more than enough. Okay, those are done. So I'm gonna get my pan ready, which I didn't do earlier and I should have. So I'm just gonna get a cookie sheet. I'm gonna put foil over the top, and then I'm gonna lightly spray it with cooking spray just in case these stick. So I'm gonna be right back with that. So here's the cookie sheet. It's got foil on the top, and that's just a hack so I don't have to clean it later. Just gonna really lightly put some spray on it. Now, take each biscuit. I'm gonna leave space in between the biscuits. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but there's layers in there that we folded in. And as you can see, those are pretty good sized biscuits. They're gonna rise. So we're gonna get a little bit more height on those. All right. Now, something that my mother did when I was young, I remember this from when I was a teenager. She would take, hold on one second, let me get the butter. She would take the bacon grease from cooking the bacon, and she would put the back of a spoon in her bacon grease, and she would dab it on top of her biscuits. And that would make them very crispy and brown, and they just look so good. So I'm doing it here with some butter. So we're just going to put a little bit on. And we're not putting a lot on. This is just the back of my spoon, just rubbing it on so that it'll have a nice golden brown top on it, and it'll be a little bit crispy. Okay, now my oven has been preheating at 400, so it's ready to go. So what I'll do now is I will put these in the oven. They're going to bake for probably 14 minutes. I'll probably check them at 12. And then at 14, that's probably going to be the max, and I will pull them out, and then they will join the rest of the breakfast. All right, so our bacon is down to our last few pieces, and it's almost ready to take up. So I'm using bacon. We're going to use the bacon grease today for making our gravy. But if you don't have bacon grease, and there have been many times that I haven't, all you need to use is any type of fat. Now, when I don't have bacon grease, I am mostly using Crisco. I do keep they have sell them in these little butter pads that look like sticks of butter. And I will take 2 tablespoons of that and I will put it into my gravy. But I have bacon grease today, so we're fortunate. So we're just going to use the bacon grease, and I'm going to leave all those little bits and pieces in there. But I am going to pour, because there's way too much bacon grease, I'm going to pour most of it over here in a paper plate, and I'm just going to let that set up over there. I will use it for something else. So if I take my grease and I pull it all to the bottom, that's probably 2 tablespoons. Now I'm going to match that with flour, 2 tablespoons. So my formula is 2, 2, and 2. 2 tablespoons of my grease, whatever it is I'm using. 2 tablespoons of flour, whatever flour you want. Today I have the self-rising flour, but I've used all-purpose flour. I've used whole wheat flour. I've used bread flour, whatever. Okay, so that's 1. And that's 2. So this is a roux. So I use a whisk, and I still keep it in the corner of my skillet, and I mix all the flour into my fat. Now I can tell by looking at this, this is where I adjust it if I need to adjust it. If this is too thin, the rationale I use is a thin roux is going to give you a thin gravy. I don't like thin gravy. I like thick gravy. So right here at this point, I will start adding in maybe up to another tablespoon of flour. See how that looks now? That's nice and thick. That's better. Now, a critical point with making gravy is this flour has to cook down. It has to cook off. It's raw right now. And we can't have raw flour in gravy. So this has to cook. Keep moving it around so you don't burn it. Make sure that your fire's on medium. I don't put it any higher than medium for gravy. I'm getting all those little bacon bits in with my roux. And I also have my 2 cups of flour, milk. I have my 2 cups of milk waiting for me. Okay, so that when this is ready, now if you have to lift this off the fire, if it's getting too brown for you, then do that. But you still have to cook all of this flour out. And that's going to be at least 1 minute, maybe 2. If it's not getting too brown, let it go a little longer, that 2nd minute. Now, I'm using 2% milk today because that's what I usually keep in the house. But I've used 1% and I've used whole milk. So whatever you have for gravy is fine. Okay. All right. Look at this beautiful bacon. Oh my gosh, isn't that going to be excellent? That's going to be so pretty. Okay, I'm going to stick this in the microwave to keep it while we're cooking. Keep that out of the way. Okay, keep moving this around or it will burn. Okay. Lift it off the heat if you need to. We want to get this nice and thick, and we have to get that flour cooked out. Okay, now here we go. This is where I start adding in my milk. I do not add my milk in at one time. I maybe add it in fourths. So you see what it's doing? It's boiling and it's getting really thick right there. As soon as it starts getting really thick right there, I'll add more. This is where you work the lumps out of your gravy, which is why a whisk is the handiest tool to use, I have found. I've tried to do this like my mother used to do it with a big old spoon. How she got all those lumps out, I still do not know. I don't know. But I can do it with a whisk. So see how it's starting to thicken up? It'll start to thicken up as if it's like if you're making Jell-O. If you're cooking Jell-O and it starts to get real thick and gel up, that's what your gravy is going to do. As it gets thick, I'm going to add in more milk. Now, here's why I like the rounded edge skillets, because gravy will make a film, and you'll get a film along the side of your skillet, and you need to get that worked in so that it doesn't turn out to be lumpy. So you're constantly scraping the edge of your skillet, and you're always moving your gravy around. Your gravy, excuse me, your gravy is gelling. It's becoming thick. If you walk away and you don't keep your gravy moving, it's going to form a film all along the side of your skillet, and you're gonna get lumps. And as this gels, if you don't keep it moving, it's just gonna gel in sections. It's gonna get lumpy. And all those little bacon bits that are in there, if you want to keep that incorporated inside your gravy, you got to keep it moving. Otherwise, it'll get one spot and maybe will sink to the bottom, and that's where it's going to stay. So we want our gravy all over, or we want our bacon bits all over from when we cook the bacon. So let's just keep moving it around. It's going to get thick. You might need a little patience here. Okay, that is my biscuits. So I'm not going to move the camera. I'm just going to check them. And they need a little bit more. So I'm going to put them on for another 2 minutes and set that so I don't forget them. Okay, you can see that my gravy is starting to bubble again. So we're starting to get some bubbles, which means it's going to start thickening up again. But it's not quite there. I think this right here for me is thin. So I don't want to put more milk in quite yet. I do expect to use the whole 2 cups of milk. Now I know some people put their milk in all at once and then they just sit and stir. I've never done it like that. I don't do it like that. I like to control the thickness of my gravy. I want to see how thick it gets, and then I want to keep adding until it's the exact consistency I want. Now something else I do at this point, right? We got everything moving around. It's all staying within the gel as the gel is making. I am going to add salt and pepper. So if you're making country gravy, got to have black pepper. So I'm going to salt it. And I'm going to pepper it, and I'll pepper it again at the end because country gravy usually has a lot of black pepper. So you can see just that few seconds that I put the salt and pepper in, they're started to create a film over the top of the gravy. So that's why we got to keep it moving. Keep scraping the edges. We don't want any of that stuff to come out in any lumps. There's my biscuits again. So I'm going to add the rest of the milk because that was getting thick. If the biscuits hadn't gone off, I probably would have let that go a second more before I touched it, but they did, so let me check. Look pretty good. Let me get something to pull these out. Look at that. Those are nice. It's got a crust. You can see where the fold, where I made those folds. You can see where that is. Look at that. They're just, ooh, that's so hot. Just flakes apart. Okay, so we'll set these to the side, let them cool. And we got to come back to our gravy. We got to keep stirring and moving it around. Now I do have a secret ingredient that my family adds to gravy. Now I wouldn't do this if I was making chicken gravy or beef gravy or anything like that, but with white milk gravy, knowing that this is going to be for breakfast, which is almost always when we have this, although I will eat the leftovers all day. What I will do is I'm going to take just a little taste at this point, and what I'm tasting for is the salt and pepper. I like it, but I want it with more salt. Not a lot comes out of my shaker at one time, and there's never enough black pepper, so that goes in as well. So just keep moving it, keep scraping the outsides. So we are at a simmer here. We have just small bubbles coming up, but that is enough to thicken this up. The more you cook it, the thicker it'll get. Once you're done with it and you set it to the side for a minute, it's going to thicken up even more. But what else is going to happen is gravy will form a film over the top of it, just like pudding does. So when we're done with this, I will let it sit to the side for a minute, but then I'm going to put it in a bowl and I'll cover it with something. Usually when we're doing breakfast, I will cover it with a paper plate and put it in the microwave until we're ready to eat. And that keeps the film to a minimum. But just like this film is forming on the sides of the skillet, that will form on top of the gravy. All right, so my salt is probably dissolved in there. So let's get a new spoon and try that. That's good. Okay. Now for the secret ingredient that might freak you all out, but this is what we do. We use a little bit of sugar, and that's even too much. So it's just going to be a little bit, and that makes this taste, in our opinion, go to the next level. So we're going to let that dissolve, get incorporated in there really good, and then we're going to try it again. We taste a lot because we want it perfect. Okay, I forgot to turn my oven off. Let me turn the oven off right there. Okay, so we're still moving this around. And it's thickening up. I can see it. I hope you guys can see it. Okay, let me try for taste one more time. Oh, that's good. I love it, I love it, I love it. This is one of my favorite things. So if you're not used to the sugar and that's not a tradition in your family, or it just sounds weird to you and you don't want to try it, leave it out. It's fine. We put it in all of our white gravy like this, and it's just a tad. You can't even really taste that it's sweet, but it's there and it changes the profile just a little bit. So give it a try if you haven't tried that before. Okay, so see, we got a pretty good boil going here. Definitely want to keep it moving. keep it moving. It's country gravy, so we got to add more black pepper. I like to see those black specks in my white gravy. All right. Like I said, I like this thick. I can see that it's thickening up in the middle, so I just want to keep this moving around. Do like a circle 8, come around, get the sides, get all that off. Let me get a bowl to put it in. I will put it over here. I hope that's big enough. All right. I hope you can see that that is getting thicker and thicker. It's really getting thicker in the middle. I have an electric stove, which I wish I had a gas stove, but I don't. So sometimes I do have to move my skillet around. It is on the big burner, but I do move the skillet around just so I move that hot spot around. But if you keep that gravy moving, everything should be getting cooked. Nice and hot and bubbly and incorporated. Now, if I were going to make this sausage gravy, a lot of times, many times, I will have already cooked sausage in my refrigerator or in my freezer. And I do the same thing with bacon. I have cooked bacon in my freezer a lot of the times. This would be the point where I would add sausage crumbles if I had them in my freezer. And I don't today. I do have bacon, but I made new bacon anyway because I knew I needed that. Okay, so this is where I'd put the sausage in, and then I would just mix the sausage in, let it get nice and warm. It's only going to take a minute. And then you have sausage. Or if you want to cut up some of that bacon and put bacon in here, you can do that. I like my bacon on the side. I also love to have this with sausage patty on the side. That's kind of the way I grew up with it. I love it that way. Okay, so hopefully you can see that we got kind of a boil going here. You don't want to boil it. This is kind of just a simmer. And I'm moving it a lot, so it's not getting burnt. It's not getting too much heat in one spot, so it's not going to burn. We're moving it. Now, take it off the heat, because I think this is fine. I'll pour it into my bowl. Okay, there we go. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so now there's our gravy and there's our biscuits. That didn't take long at all, did it? And we have bacon in the microwave waiting for us. So if you have any questions or anything like that, give me an email, and I'll put my email in the description. Okay, so we're basically done. So here's the gravy. And what I want to show you about the gravy is right now, because I didn't put anything over the top of this, it does have a little bit of a film. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of like pudding where it has a film. So before you serve this, you just want to mix it back in. Get it nice and mixed back in. So let's get our bacon. Smells fantastic. So here's our biscuit. And see the flaky layer that we got because we folded that in half? That's what that does. And you can see the inside. That is beautifully cooked. So that was 14 minutes we went. So let's get a plate. Oh my gosh, this is so good. All right, we will get some bacon. And, of course, more black pepper. And that's just the way biscuits and gravy work. You gotta have black pepper. So there you go, biscuits and gravy. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, let's try it. Whoops. This is my favorite. I love this. I gotta have another bite. Mmm. 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 10 out of 10. So good, so good. Anyway, I hope you try it. I will, in the description, link to some of my other videos if you want to watch those. I have skillet lasagna, how to blanch green beans, peach cobbler. I'm going to be making stroganoff here very soon, and I will record that for you guys too. Okay? So please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. And I hope you make this and give me a comment how you liked it. Okay? Thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. Bye.